Okay, I have the privilege of interviewing Ken Love today, who you reside in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, Kona, Hawaii.
Yes. And you were in the movie The Fruit Hunter.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure you get a copy of it and see it. Do you have any of them available through you?
No, I was just in it. Actually, the whole movie thing started was a magazine article because the author Adam Goldner lived in Montreal and it was February and I got to go to Hawaii. It's freezing. So I hope that's right, Adam. But it's anyway. So he came and he did a story for Air Canada magazine on fruit tourism, and that later evolved into the book called The Fruit Hunters, and that evolved from there into the movie with Bill Pullman, Maurice, Richard, and myself, and a few other people, Isabella, Tuscany. It's a really interesting movie. It won grand prize in the Paris Film Festival. So it's
no kidding.
Yeah, so it's a real movie. It's It's not.
It is. It's awesome. Now
it's informative.
The one that's available online is different than the one you have here, right?
Yeah. Actually, there's a number of versions. The one that I had on Blu-ray, we couldn't get a Blu-ray player. That's the final version if you download from Amazon or get it through Amazon. If the one I saw was a slightly almost finished version, there's just a few subtle changes that unless you watch it over and over, you probably wouldn't catch on. And then the other one was the Canadian TV version, hosted and narrated by David Suzuki, as opposed to the theatrical version by Young Chang. They're all good. They're all different. I mean,
but they are amazing.
Yeah. Well, there's attributes to each one. So I mean, at least for my part of it, there's attributes to each one. So in the TV version, it gets into a little more into farmer-chef relationships and trying to build that movement that chefs need to buy fresh and local and focus on that rather than getting the same imported garbage that they've been getting for years.
So how did you get into fruit?
It just sort of evolved.
Did
I'm
it?
just on this raft, on the river, and it just kind of floats along and end up where I end up, But I mean, I can remember my father coming home with this wheel of dried things. Figs, what's that? Ate one and was hooked from that. That was an early memory in Chicago. And then sometimes you get a big hachia persimmon and you just sit on top of the fridge for God knows how long until it started oozing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was delicious. It was amazing.
Now, you haven't always been into fruit, right? Didn't you have a different career?
Well, yeah, but I was always into fruit.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah, so I was always, when I as a news photographer and traveling around doing that, I was still, I used that to get to places to get fruit. If I was sent on assignment to Thailand, I'd take a couple extra days and go run around the jungles. So, and going to Japan a lot on photo assignments for wire services or newspapers, I would wind up studying horticulture and culinary in Japan. Going to Japan is unique because it's just a whole different culture, obviously, but the fruit culture itself, the quality that's put into agriculture, the produce, is something that we just don't do. We just lost that. And so I try to, with what we're growing or what the education that I'm trying to do in Hawaii is to get back to the quality and not the production. It's quality versus quantity. And we're so geared into this whole monoculture society where all you do is plant one thing, and I just tell people plant 12. People, I get 20 calls a month. What should we plant? We just bought this land. I don't know. What do you like to eat? So it's, and then plant 15 other things. So it's even here. I mean, we're surrounded. I'm just sitting on the steps here at the Woodstock Festival. Look at the raspberries.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's all around us. We just choose to look for it.
How do you select companion planting? Or do you let it just naturally?
Yeah, it sort of evolves as well naturally, but there are some guides. There's a guy, Ted Radovich from the USDA, who, not from the US, sorry Ted, He's from the University of Hawaii, and he specializes in organic sustainable research. And so there's a lot of these programs that they do in Hawaii and other university extension services that, unfortunately, the universities are getting away from that. They're taking all this Monsanto money and focusing on biotech, but there's still a few good guys out there like Ted who really want to help small farmers and small farm sustainability. And it's up to us as growers or users to, I mean, these are land grant universities that get money from the government to help people. We should use them like shake and bake bags. I mean, we just have to make sure they do what we need and not what companies need. So sometimes I'm hard on them, but they need it.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of GMOs, what do you see? What are the dangers of the GMOs, and do you see that shifting at all?
Hopefully, it'll shift. I think they're extremely dangerous. I got celiac 9 years ago, which is a gluten allergy, and we see all this gluten-free stuff now, which is different than it being a fad or a little intolerance. You know, so that's you know, everybody says, oh, it's hereditary. Somebody in your family had it. No, but I have drawings of people from my family from France and Germany before photography was invented. Nobody in my family ever had celiac disease. 20% of the population gets it around age 60, and I just fell into that category, and I couldn't figure out why. So I started researching everything, because I just like to know what's going on, not only with me, but I guess darn near everything. They have if you graph the population rise, population's going up. There's celiac disease, Parkinson's, lupus, Crohn's, Hashimoto's, attention deficit, autism. All of these diseases went up from 1950 along with the population. They were all, you know, parallel. 71, 72, the diseases just shot up, just skyrocketed. What was the common denominator? And that was the wheats that were modified in traditional methods in the 60s. I mean, Norman Borlaug won the Nobel Prize in the Green Revolution, and he crossed wheat with plant material not digestible by human bodies, and it has 14 times more gluten in it than einkorn or farro or the original wheats. And, you know, Suzuki said that a scientist that believes GMO is safe is either lying or incredibly stupid. And I'm sorry to all my friends, but I have to believe that. I mean, how many years was tobacco safe?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so how can we expect this? Well, the proponents of GMO, a lot of them will say, and I was trying to stay out of it until I saw some of this on TV in Molokai when the issue was going on, and it's always going on in Hawaii. We seem to be the dumping ground for GMO testing.
Yeah,
but
we certainly do.
Yeah, but they're saying, oh no, GMO, you know, genetic modification's going on for years. These bees right here are doing it. They're modifying the genes in between plants. Well, yeah. But it's semantics. You don't think there's a difference between this and taking the genes from a tomato and sticking it in a trout? You know, is it against the laws of nature?
Absolutely, it's against the laws of nature.
So, but it had, you know, so if they keep telling us how safe it is, then prove it. Why do they only serve organic food in the Monsanto dining room? You know, according to all of the things.
Oh, is that
you
right?
read? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure Bill Gates being a big proponent of GMO and Monsanto's, he has plenty of organic food going into his place.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it for a minute. So. Which I can't understand either, because he seemed like he would be smarter than that.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so that, I mean, I'm sick. It's a disease of civilization, you know, and being sick, having these food allergies and celiac, which, you know, that in turn, because you don't get the right nutrients when your small intestine's broken. So that was causing heart problems, and all of this relates to the modified wheats, at least in my field. So I think there's, you know, to come to a place like this at the fruit festival and see the younger generation sort of taking on the mantle, and that's a good feeling. I mean,
it is a good feeling. Yeah, I think the more pressure that the big companies put on the people, the more awake the people are becoming.
Yeah, yeah.
And you see your families dying and you're getting sick, and and all the stuff that's going on, it just forces you to be.
Yeah. Well, they can look at it this way, but if the folks here want to maintain this raw, healthy lifestyle, they have to get more politicized. They have to go out and fight this.
Yes.
And it has to become part of what they're educating people on exercise and raw food and 80-10-10 and vegan diets. You also have to tell people about the dangers of things like GMO.
Which is what
can.
my site is basically about. It's about GMOs and Monsantos, and I have a lot of. I mean, Hillary Clinton used to work for that. Donald Rumsfeld.
Yeah, well, I know. When I was with AP, I had to take pictures of Rumsfeld when he was president of GD Cyril, so I got to talk to him for a while. So.
Yeah. That was before Monsanto's, right?
Well, Monsanto bought Cyril.
Oh, okay. And that's right too. They merged.
And Cyril developed aspartame.
Another great.
Well, they didn't develop it, but they're the ones who made it equal and started marketing it.
So where do you see it going, or
I just see the struggle continuing for a while, and it's a slow process. But I think the people who to see groups like this who are constantly involved in it.
And there's more than just Monsanto's, right? There's other groups, GMO groups like DuPont, I think does.
Sargenta, DuPont, yeah, it's a lot more than that. I mean, the things that you see on internet and social media pages about the companies that own the other companies that own the other companies, and we're buying. We have to be really careful because we're buying these seemingly healthy vegan boxes of stuff, and it's owned by Monsanto or owned by Dow or Coca-Cola or somebody.
So would you say the key is keep it whole, not processed at all?
Yeah, if there's something, I don't mind some processed stuff, but if there's something on the box that I can't pronounce, I'm not going to get it.
Right.